Hey everybody, this is James Pelton. Can't even get my name right. That's how you know it's kind of early here. Welcome to Saturday edition of the James. What do I call it? The James Pelton AMA show. I mean, that's kind of what it is. But we have a long friend of the channel here. Tyler from Alpha Shares is here to share an opportunity with us. Again, the Alpha Shares team has been one of my favorite teams in the space. Honestly, in this space, the DeFi space, it doesn't take a lot to get onto my list of good people. It's just don't steal everyone's money, and you've worked your way to the top of the list. And Alpha Shares is one of those teams. They have not rugged, they've not broken promises or anything like that. So love the team and just want to hear what they're doing. I've asked them, hey, keep me in the loop as you do new stuff, and so they're doing that. So audience, welcome. I appreciate all you guys. Again, I can only do AMAs because I have an audience. So as much as Alpha Shares, I'm sure they like me as a person. Mainly people do AMAs because there's an audience. So appreciate you guys. Please hit the like button. If you have questions as we're going, please bring those up. Just things you want to talk about as we're going through. Please bring those up. Really appreciate it. Special welcome to Shauna, who just joined my community. Appreciate you very much. And appreciate everybody who has joined my community, is a part of my community. Question of the day. I like to get the comments flowing. It helps the YouTube algorithm. I always do something about weather or something lame. But that's all that comes to mind. Let's do this. Okay. What's your favorite food? Okay. If I'm going to eat one thing today, what is it? Go ahead and comment that down below, and let's get started. So Tyler, welcome back to the channel. Sometime I should do a ranking of how many times people have been on my channel. See, you'd be up there. I think you've been on here quite a few times.
I think it's been 3 or 4 now. This
Three
might
or
be
four.
3 or 4, something like that. Yeah.
I think you're getting. I mean, Jason from Warfi is probably the top, but you're getting up there. So
All right.
what an honor. What an honor.
Right.
So can you go ahead, quick introduction, and tell us just a little bit about Alpha Shares, and then let's jump into what you guys are doing on the mining front.
Of course. Yeah. No, I really do like starting it out with, just in case I do see, I've got the stream pulled up too, so I can see the comments. I love the support. Thank you guys, especially Alpha Pack holders that are in here hanging out. So those of you that are an Alpha Pack holder, you know exactly what Alpha Shares is. But for those of you that don't, Alpha Shares is the world's first truly decentralized and community-owned marketplace. So what does that mean? Ton of buzzwords out in there. But really what that means is that legitimately, truly, the ownership of the marketplace in terms of how the fees are structured, they're actually rewarded to our holders. 70% of all fees taken on the platform are rewarded to our holders through different dynamic systems, mainly with our Alpha reward token. So we're very excited that we've been able to put together a structure that works from a legal fashion as well and enables people to basically get to take part ownership in the fee structure on the Alpha Shares marketplace. There's no other marketplace that produces fees and shares them with their holders. We have a lot of strategies upcoming as well, where we're going to be utilizing some of the fees that we take or the other strategies and income profit centers from our business to give back to the projects that list with us too. No other marketplace is going to say, hey, I'm going to sweep the floor, mint the NFTs, flip the NFTs of the projects that list with us, but we're actually going to be raising a fund specifically for supporting the projects that list with us. The whole concept of when we earn, you earn is what we want to permeate throughout the people that trade with us, hold our NFTs, and list their projects with us. When you get to this size of a software as a service, a platform as a service, the sky's the limit in terms of who you can reach. And so as we continuously increase the feature sets on the marketplace, increase its capacity, what it can do, obviously we're going to see an increase in user base. And that increase in user base is hopefully going to get very happy that they're seeing an immediate gain from using the marketplace, go tell their friends, their family, and we hope this snowball approach to make Alpha Shares one of the biggest marketplaces there is in the near future. Very organic approach. We're not taking millions of dollars like other marketplaces out there and dropping it on airdrops and incentivizers to trade with us. It's rather very dynamic, very organic. We have a launch pad as well, so we launch new projects. Every new project that launches with us is a new community that calls us their home. So that's what Alpha Shares is. But at the same time, while we're building the marketplace, we got to keep chugging along. We got to keep doing things. We've established quite a robust team on just the marketplace side of things, going out and finding new partner projects, finding new projects that need Launchpad, going out connecting with communities. We're going to be increasing our development capacity here soon with John heading the dev side of things. And once we get to that point, well, Alpha Shares and its development effort and its feature set improvement and its marketing, it's pretty much taken care of. And so us as a team, a core leadership, top of the team, well, we don't stop moving, and we have to find something else that we can continually provide value to not only our community, but to ourselves, to our families, to everyone around us, right? We're nonstop builders. And so we ended up coming across some amazing opportunities when we established our company down in Paraguay. And that's really what we're here to talk about today. So thank you
No,
for having me on the stage as well. I appreciate coming back here.
oh yeah, oh yeah, always a pleasure. And one thing I've appreciated about you guys is, when we hit bad market, you guys built kind of more in the bull market. You built in a kind of a better market, and then we hit this kind of bad market that we've been in for many months. Feels like years. But what I saw a lot of projects do was they kind of just gave up, or they sat on their hands, or they're like, well, what can we do? The markets are the way the markets are. I've heard that so many times. And what you guys did, I've never heard that from you. Well, the markets are the way the markets are. You guys just keep building. It's like, okay, well, what else can we do? Let's try this. Let's try this. Let's do this. Let's do this. And that's what you got to do. You got to build through the bad markets. And you guys have done that. And I think coming out on the other side, you guys will be positioned very nicely, in my opinion. So
That's the goal, right? That's the
yeah.
whole point. It's that when people are seeing that, and there's a difference in mindset, right? There's two types of builders. There are builders that build off hype and they build off, what's around them. And when there's a bull market and when the liquidity is flowing heavy and when there's a lot of people aping into anything, well, that type of builder is able to quickly spin up new projects and able to quickly, turn a buck, right? But when it comes to putting your nose to the grindstone and actually building something that takes quite a bit of effort and doesn't have immediate gratification, that takes a grind, that takes dedication, that takes resilience, and a lot of people don't have that. But luckily, we're finding in this space the people that have been communicating with us, and you and us. Luckily, the other teams we're connected with, the past few months. If you're building in this space, you have that grit, you have that resilience, you have that putting that nose to the grindstone. And so we're very happy that our whole team is like that. But that does bring us exactly to what's going on. Is we wanted to know during a bear market when everything's down in price, well, what opportunity is now here? There's not as much immediate opportunity in terms of that immediate gratification. You buy into something at 2x's, right? That doesn't happen as often. But what, from an infrastructure or fundamental standpoint, is something that we could take advantage of? And so the whole idea actually spawned when our co-founder John was having a discussion with his cousin at a family event, Bert. And Bert is someone that had traveled down throughout South America throughout his career over the past 20 plus years, and has not only just been down there for work, but has lived down there and even met his wife, who is a Paraguayan citizen, and they moved to Alabama together, but she's always had her dual citizenship, and Bert has traveled down there multiple times. John and Bert were talking, and we're talking about the success that we've seen with alpha shares. And at the time, it was alpha nodes. It was when we were transitioning to alpha shares and launching the marketplace. I think it was actually soon after the marketplace launch. And we decided to pursue another opportunity, which was, again, in this bear market, what is something that we could pursue? And the talk came to Bitcoin mining, and it came to proof of work mining, because we know that that's something that is really the backbone for everything that we do here in Web3. Bitcoin is the big daddy of all the cryptos. Its market cap really runs the market caps of all the others. If you notice, the moment Bitcoin goes down, well, Ethereum follows, everything else follows. And so we know that providing infrastructure support, mining capacity for Bitcoin, that is something that, well, anyone in Web3 would probably hope to achieve. But what really stuck out to us was Bert brought up the fact that in Paraguay, the craziest thing about Paraguay is that it has some of the cheapest power that you could find in the entire world. The reason for that is because it's a landlocked country. It is right smack dab in the Amazon, and so it has some of the world's largest riverways. Because it has some of the world's largest riverways, it has some of the world's largest hydroelectric dams. This means that they produce so much electricity as a country that they actually produce more electricity than they intake. And so they're at a surplus consistently, meaning they actually sell a lot of electricity to countries like Brazil. But because their own country is at a surplus, the power cost there is extremely low. We are actually locked in already at a rate of 2.9 to 3.2 cents per kilowatt hour for up to 2 megawatts of capacity, of which we will most likely be, in the next few months, renegotiating for a higher capacity and a lower rate, because we have so much interest already, which is awesome. But just to compare that rate, if you look at anywhere in the United States, the cheapest you can find from an industrial sector with subsidies, either directly from certain power companies, directly from the plant that you're working with, whatever it might be, the lowest we've seen with a subsidy was 6 cents per kilowatt hour. On average, you're looking at 7 to 8 cents per kilowatt hour in the United States, and this is for an industrial rate. If you're looking at what you pay for your house during peak time, you're probably paying 12 to 15 cents per kilowatt hour. Some places with additional taxes added on are paying up to 20 cents per kilowatt hour. So us at 3 cents per kilowatt hour is an amazingly low fraction of the cost. And if you know anything about proof of work mining, the only fixed expense associated with mining that determines your profit margin is power cost. So the lower the power cost, the higher your profit, which is definitely incentivizing. So there's no way we could pass up on this opportunity. We have to pursue it if we are not only able to support the blockchain with the infrastructure of proof of work mining for Bitcoin, but we can also support it at an amazing opportunity that makes this opportunity quite profitable for our company. Well, what does that mean? That means that our company has another stream of revenue, can become very, very profitable on that end, and be able to direct that profit back to the people that support us and hold our NFTs. Obviously, from legal perspective, and we do have legal counsel, it's difficult for us to say, hey, buy into our operation. You're an investor, you're a shareholder, we're going to pay you out. We can't use that terminology. We do have to go through more of the specifics around, we as a company, we're offering this to you. You're going to buy this NFT. The only thing you're expecting in return is this NFT that we're offering to you. And what's going to happen now is the company is going to have raised funds to start this operation. This operation is going to kick off. This operation is going to create a lot of value. We obviously have to make sure that we're compliant, pay taxes to Paraguay, and then we can push a lot of that value, the majority of that value, back to the NFTs. It's a very unique way that we're doing it. It's super, super fun. It's going to be, for the perspective of the user, very simple. You hold these NFTs. There's going to be some kickoff time, some startup time for us to purchase the equipment, get it set up. But soon after that, you're going to be seeing that value flow right back to you. So before I keep talking your ear off, I don't know if you want to pull something else. I could go through the page, or I'll let you run something for a second.
Yeah, no, awesome. No, that sounds really cool. You answered a lot of my questions, so I didn't even need to ask him. I do love a quarter mile. I love you, man. First thing he said on the stream, what's the range of yield and how exactly is it generated? That's the first thing he asked. He's getting good at these AMAs. He knows the right questions to ask. So yeah, maybe you can just kind of walk us through. So it's an NFT. That for legal reasons, obviously you're not saying, hey, buy this NFT and then we'll give you this return. That's securities. SEC is on the lookout right now. That's something I'm working through with my own projects, staying off the SEC radars. Another topic for another day, but it'd be nice if the SEC tried to protect people instead of. But anyway, right? Another topic for another day.
Exactly.
So people buy these NFTs. What's the qualifications? I see that eligibility thing here. Do you want to talk about who can get involved in this? Who can't? Maybe we'll even talk about if people want to get involved, what do they need to do? Let's go through some of those details.
Yeah, of course. So we do obviously want to support the people that have supported us for a long time. We're going to support them first. This initial round is something that is a private exclusive round. We're calling it our reserve round, and that's what's going live next Tuesday. This is private and exclusive because the whole concept here is not many people have started real world operations in this capacity. Most people that have done mining, they actually go raise capital. They take that capital, they apply it to someone else that's going to manage, purchase the miners for them, send it to a hosting facility, manage that, pay them back a profit, and then that goes to the community. We don't necessarily want to, well, not necessarily, we want to be the one that are hosting it. We want to be top down. Buy this NFT. The funds from these NFTs are going directly into operations that we own. We're not going to go, cookie cutter, hop around to a bunch of different people and then finally get to the end user. No, we are top down, starting this as operations owned by Alpha Shares. Because of this, it needs some startup time. It's going to take 60 to 90 days after we fundraise to be able to get things going. And so we want to find the professional people that are very understanding about what real world business is like. They don't have unrealistic expectations, and they've also supported us for a while. And so these reserve round NFTs, they are meant mainly for treasuries, mainly for project founders, for people that are big supporters, whales, if you will, VIPs. So they are $1,000 NFT. It's not supposed to be cost effective for the average person, the public. We will have a public round where they launch at $250, but these reserve round NFTs will actually have 5 times the weighted return as a public. So for the cost of, if you wanted to purchase what would return the same amount of Bitcoin mining returns in the public round, you'd have to buy 5 of those NFTs and spend $1,250. So this reserve round, you're automatically getting a discount, and it is being offered to the people that in that criteria you could see are Genesis holders. people that hold more than 3,500 mass tokens in our Momentum project, people that hold a certain role, which you get that role if you hold those tokens, and then also anyone that's a project founder or VIP. One thing we are doing as well is for project communities, and even for your community, James. If you have any VIP members in your community, people that fit that bill, the people that are professional, that understand business, they're not going to be, they're going to buy in, be like, when, after a week. As long as it's not that type of person, we are happy to extend an invitation and whitelist you as someone that's interested. We know that this isn't something that's meant for everyone. So we're not expecting a ton of people reaching out for whitelist. But at the same time, we want to be able to cater to the people that understand what we're doing here. We're being very transparent with it. And if you like what you see, let us know. So I will extend an invitation for you, James, if you want that. We'll figure out exactly how to make that happen. We got a couple forms, but we'll work together to do that
Yes.
after.
Yep. Absolutely. And I definitely want to do that for my community. So what we'll do, we'll get a form together. And I'll put that in our Telegram or my Discord group. And yeah, if you want in on kind of this initial round, we'll work on that. And if you're not part of my community, you'd like to be part of this, get into, well, first off, you could just join my community. That'd be an easy way. But just get in touch. We'll work something out. And again, just wanted to be a little careful. I totally get that. Again, I've just launched my own NFT projects, and it makes your life so much easier if you kind of vet who comes in, because so many people come in and they're looking for, hey, how come this didn't happen tomorrow? And it's like, well, no, it's going to take a little bit. This is a big thing. This is a long-term play. People are used in crypto to these short-term plays. And when they don't see anything happening short-term, they kind of freak out. So yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
Hop in my community. We'll get a form in there and we'll get people set up on that. And so I do want to kind of talk through because there's been a lot of mining projects, that have been coming out, NFTs that are doing mining. And you've kind of already talked a little bit about what makes yours different. I think you're right. Power cost. I've not heard of anyone else being able to get, 3 cents a kilowatt hour. So that's a huge thing. Do you want to talk about what else might set you apart from, with Kadena hashing and Hydrowhales and fraction mining? And there's been quite a few of them. I think people are seeing, hey, this is a good way to make money long term. What would you kind of say might set you guys apart?
So it really is that power cost, but it's more than just the power cost, right? The reason why other facilities or other brands have higher power cost, well, nobody else is pursuing Paraguay that we know of as a project founder. We do know of private individuals that are pursuing Paraguay as a place for hosting their facilities, but I don't know of any projects in Web3 that are pursuing it. And so nobody else has the ability to even have this low of power cost. But even if they did, what's happening most often is, like I mentioned earlier, these projects are raising funds. They're going out and then finding a procurement officer or a hosting facility. And that person is then going to go and let them know, hey, this is what our cost is. This is what our markup is. And there might be 1 or 2 or 3 layers where those funds pass through before they get back to the community. With us, the benefit with us is that not only do we have the lowest power cost that you can find, but we are also the direct leg to that ownership, right? We own the facility and we are releasing the NFTs. It's not like someone owns a facility, someone has a procurement officer that goes out and finds people that need to host NFTs. Then someone goes and raises money through NFTs, takes that money, gives it to the procurement officer. Procurement officer takes a cut, goes into the hosting facility, tells the hosting facility they need to have it hosted. Hosting facility takes a cut, and then now whatever's left goes back to that original project founder. With us, there's no multi-step system. It's all straight from us back to the NFTs. And at 3 cents per kilowatt hour, we're at a minimum half the cost of anyone else that's doing this.
Okay, very good. Yeah, and anytime you're able to take out the middlemen, that increases profit for the end holder, which is exactly what we've kind of seen with your NFT marketplace. If you can cut out a lot of the middle people, then the profits can just go straight there.
Exactly.
Let's go ahead. Let's talk about, I know we're not guaranteeing any returns or anything like that. I got to be careful with wording and all that. But how should someone think about returns? I mean, are these are the numbers that you're seeing at Bitcoin at 22K? Is this kind of the projected numbers?
Yeah, so right there, that is showing off if we get everything spun up that we have in our white paper, so we get the operations complete, all around sell out. Well, then if you look in the white paper, you'll be able to see how many miners we project we'll have. what those miners project to be doing in terms of profitability, as well as the second component of this reserve round, which is our antimony operation. And that antimony operation is going to produce additional income that can flow back to these NFTs. And that's where we got this number from. So this is a potential profit once everything's spun up. This is at 22,000 Bitcoin price. Bitcoin is higher than this. This is also having some projections and assumptions that are padded. So many of the things that we had, like purchasing of ASICs, they're padded with $1,000, $2,000 on top of the actual price of what we actually can get them for. Right here, you can see Bitcoin is at 22,000 Bitcoin price, but really it's over 23, I think, right now, as long as it hasn't gone down since yesterday. I want it to go down because the cheaper it is, the easier it is for us to buy miners and cheaper. It's the weirdest thing. Normally we want Bitcoin to go up, but it's like right now I'm like, Bitcoin, please go back down. But yes, this is potentially what it's looking like for Reserve NFT. Bitcoin mining at full capacity once we expand the operations and get all the miners in there. It's looking like we'd be able to produce value to these NFTs around $64 from the Bitcoin mining operation itself, and from the antimony operation about $38. So that would be combined for a potential monthly payout to these NFTs of about $102 a month.
Okay. Wow. Incredible. Those are crazy returns. And what this chart is showing too up here is I was assuming those number projections at the bottom were, oh, when Bitcoin gets back to 68K, you'll be making 10% a month, and it's like, okay, well, yeah, if that happens. But that's actually at current Bitcoin prices, which really surprised me. And again, as you're showing here, it kind of depends. You'll have to decide in the audience, where do you think Bitcoin is going? So if you look kind of at the past, if you think Bitcoin is going to go down, if you think Bitcoin's going to zero, then yeah, you wouldn't want to get into a Bitcoin mining project. But just what we've seen about Bitcoin in the past, it seems like this is the type of trajectory that it's on. And so, if we have these numbers at 22K Bitcoin, at 68K Bitcoin, 3x pretty much. So a lot of potential in something like this. Not to be nitpicky, but this is actually 123.6. That'd be the APR. APY would be higher.
That is true. That is true. If you were compounding, it would be APY. So that is I actually saw that when we were looking at this about 10 seconds ago. I was like, damn it, that needs to be APR. And I also want to remove, I probably also, getting more legal counsel as we get into this as well. We're very transparent too. And I want to make sure that even the people listening here, nobody thinks that we're offering something that's an expectation of return. We all understand what a security is, and we all understand that in this space, we're doing everything we can to make some really cool things happen. To do that, often we can cumulatively raise funds via NFTs, but we can't offer an expectation of return. And so, although it's very great to be able to tell our holders, hey, we hope to make an amazing opportunity, and that amazing opportunity could result in us being able to provide value to these NFTs at this capacity. At the same time, it is commonly misconstrued and seen as something that's a promise of return. And so, this is something where I'm actually going to have a consulting meeting with our legal probably tomorrow, to see what's the better way to present this. But I do think it's great to disclaim it regardless. And everyone knows, we talk about this often. I'm sure that you're going to be doing the same thing with your own project. It's just difficult, right? We the whole goal here, and yes, no financial advice. The whole goal here is to make sure that we can provide value to everyone that joins our community, right? We don't want you to go and spend your hard-earned dollars or get involved in something because just because, right? And then walk away and never see anything from it. We want you guys to know that the help that you're giving here by basically sacrificing your funds to us for this venture, it's going to be returned with some extreme value. But we have to do it in a way that makes sense legally and is compliant.
Yep.
Otherwise, we'll only be able to do it for a short period of time, like we've seen with other projects, and then get screwed.
Well,
so
you
we're not going to do that.
build from jail. There's no
right.
You can do. There's computers there. No, actually, offline. I'll have to get your lawyer's information because I need some guidance on that side of things as well. So no,
Sure.
love that.
Yeah.
So can you tell us? So what's the difference between kind of these initial and the ones that are going to be coming out? First off, when are the public ones going to be out? And how are those going to be different than kind of these initial offering ones?
So this is actually a good segue into what the second component of this reserve round is. But the reserve round, much more expensive, as you can see, $1,000 a pop for an NFT. It is a 5x weighting for Bitcoin mining. And so you're going to receive, like I said, 5x the return at 4x the price. So if you look at the first tier 1 round of the public, it's 250. That's going to get you the same Bitcoin mining return, or a fifth of the Bitcoin mining return as the reserve NFT. So you're automatically getting a discount, although a higher purchase price on reserve, you're getting an automatic discount slash increase uh, in return on the reserve. So the whole point of that is because you are the first mover, you're an early entrant, you're someone that's getting that first mover advantage. And because of that, it's going to be a higher barrier to entry. It's going to be a longer payout time in terms of when we can spin things up, 60 to 90 days. We got to get our operations in check. We've got to get our legal structures in check. And once we get to the point where we can push that value back to the NFTs, that's when it'll return. It will be longer than the public round. Public round won't go live for 45, maybe 60 days, probably around that 45-day mark, which means that we have a much shorter period of time for those to start to produce income. The whole point as well is so that when the public round is released, we can show the public, hey, we've already raised X millions of dollars and we've deployed it and we've got these operations going. We're going to be vlogging down there. So John and Bert live down in Paraguay. They're going to be showing face, vlogging the different facility that we, whatever facility we end up getting, how the construction's going there, what the security looks like, how we're going to be setting up the different 40-foot containers, all of the fun stuff. And so as we get through this process, that's when the public round will go. And so getting into the public round is seen as more of just expansion, right? You're not taking as much of a risk of we're going from nothing to something. It's rather, hey, there's something's there. Now getting into the public means you can expand upon it. It does not include antimony trioxide refining, though, which is something that is a second component of just the reserve round. And if you'd like, I can get into what that operation is.
Yes, because that word means nothing to me. So yeah, that would be great.
Exactly. So antimony is a heavy metal. It's something that is often mined as a byproduct of mining other elements. So when people are mining for, iron, nickel, cobalt, silver, gold, they often find antimony pockets. And so antimony is a pretty consistently, around the world well-known ore that's mined in most mining, mining centers, and it is used in a very, very diverse group of industrial applications. It's mainly used when you refine it to pure antimony trioxide. It is mainly used in the applications for electronic manufacturing, electronic vehicles. It's a flame retardant for electronics. It is also used if you have higher lead count or lead content antimony. It is used in the production of hardened steel, of hardened lead. So it's used in the production of, railways and steel beams for the construction of many, many different structures. It's used in the construction of most military industrial practices, so the construction of munitions, hardened lead in general. The big component that we see, though, because when you get it uh, refined to a certain degree where it has high purity antimony trioxide, that's when it's really used in the electronic vehicle manufacturing system. And that is where we see a massive upside in demand for specifically for antimony trioxide. If you look it up, industrial sectors have been posting reports over the last couple of years that it looks like for the next 8 to 12 years, there's going to be a consistent increase in growth for the demand of antimony trioxide as an industrial sector component. It's used all the time in the manufacturing of, like I said, electric vehicles, electronic components, wires. It's used in the production of um, goods that are in industrial, so the industrial sector, like construction materials. It's massive. And because it's something that's expanding in demand, it's something that we felt the need to take opportunity on. But why? How did antimony trioxide even come across the plate? Well, the reason it did is because John's cousin Bert actually has extensive experience in this. He did actually perform and own a antimony trioxide refining company and plant in Bolivia between 2009 and 2014. So this was something that, as I've mentioned before, he's very well connected down in Paraguay. He's been a general contractor. He has 2 master's degrees in different forms of engineering, mechanical and electrical. If I have that correct, I have to look at his resume. I've been talking every day so many times, but he's a very, very intelligent person that has the skills and the skill set that we need to make sure that we can accomplish what we set forth here. He did this between 2009 and 2014. It was a very successful operation. I can, if you would like, I can go into real quick kind of how it all works even. It's actually really fun to talk about. But the way that it works is you purchase ore from Bolivia. In Bolivia, there are indigenous populations there that run the mines, and you purchase the ore straight from them. You purchase at a minimum 30% purity. It gets put into a shipping container, put onto the back of a barge down the rivers over to Paraguay, taken off that barge, put onto a truck, delivered to our facility, and stored in our store facility until we are ready to put it into the refining. What is the refining? Well, this is where it gets pretty interesting, and why this kind of esoteric knowledge is something that we're taking advantage of and not many other people know about. Typical refining of heavy metals is used through a process of tossing it into a furnace and heating it up to the point where it converts from a solid to a liquid. It melts. And typically, if you're talking about gold or silver, those elements are heavier than the other elements that are around it. So when it melts into the slag, it comes to the bottom of the furnace, and you can knock out the gold, and you can use another chemical process to pull out the remaining pure gold. That's how typical refining processes work. With antimony, it's completely different. It's actually a sublimation process. So instead of you going and heating it up to a liquid and melting it, you heat up the antimony to a specific temperature so that it sublimates. It converts to a gas. It then has to be pulled through a specific ducting system in a specific strategic way so that it can get to a certain point at a certain temperature so that it cools and precipitates into a white powder at a bagging facility and is bagged up at 93% purity antimony trioxide before we ship it out. It's a very unique process. It's something that is very hard to have a good hand on how to set up and design these systems. Luckily, Bert, our co-founder down there for this operation, he was mentored by the founder of US Antimony Corp, which is the largest publicly traded US antimony company, antimony company within the US. They also have subsidiaries in South America. But because he had that really esoteric knowledge imparted on him back in 2009, he's now taking this and we're applying it to what we're doing here today. The reason why it stopped in 2014, by the way, Bolivia became socialist and they nationalized everything, kicked everyone out. And so since then, he's been pursuing other contracting work in Alabama. But when we decided that we were going to pursue everything we're doing with Bitcoin mining in Paraguay, we knew that they were going to move to Paraguay for this. Well, he has all the skill set. He's got the resources. He's got the ability. This was going to be something we were originally going to privately tackle. But we decided if we're going to be raising a smaller round with an exclusive group of people, what's happening on Tuesday, let's get them involved too. Why not? So sorry for the mouthful there.
No, that's
It's a
very
super fun operation.
educational. I was Googling everything as you were saying it. And I'm like, wow, that's really cool. So it's not when I first heard about the antimony, I was thinking what Captain America's shield was made out of, but it's not really that, although it's kind of similar in a lot of ways. So
that would be really cool because I think that what his shield is made out of, I'm pretty sure that's like not real because it's like the strongest metal in the world.
Right.
Which if we could mine that and refine that, then dude, I'm gonna become Captain America. I'll make an Iron Man suit.
I'll buy all the NFTs if
there
that's the case. So, okay, we got a few questions from the audience that I want to get to. A couple of questions just as you were talking through. Anytime somebody's talking about mines and third world countries, immediately in America, at least most of us, we kind of think, oh, what about, human rights? We don't know anything about mines and mine conditions. Oh, there we go. Is Paraguay safe for miners? That's that's a good question. But do we have any insight into like the mine conditions and are they getting paid appropriately and those types of things?
Yeah, that's a good question. And so it's actually a unique system in Bolivia. That's where we're getting the actual mined goods from. So for the antimony process itself, that's really the only mining. We're not doing mining, so we're not paying miners. We're not creating a mining facility. We're a refining plant. So we process and we refine the mined goods. We don't take process in what the ethical side of things in Bolivia is for mining. But what we do know is that, like I mentioned, the mines are ran by the indigenous population there, and the indigenous population is actually seen and protected by the government. And so even though Bolivia went nationalist or socialist rather, and nationalized everything back in 2014, they actually support the indigenous populations there and let them run their own thing. So there isn't some overarching capitalist pressure telling them, hey, stick in that mine, eat your own poop, and make sure you mine that cobalt or whatever. I've seen that. It's actually really bad. I've seen a lot of stuff like that in Africa. Especially for lithium and cobalt and things like that for batteries. I don't think it's at all the same in Bolivia because it's not as capitalized upon. It's more of the indigenous tribes themselves running things like they have for decades and continuing to do so.
Okay, very good. Okay. When we're looking at returns, then when do you expect that like these first returns will be paid? If we're buying the NFTs, here in the next few days, when do we kind of expect that those first returns will start coming in?
So we're hoping to have them return within 90 days. We are going to, because 90 days is 3 months and crypto is a crazy time where no one wants to wait that long. We do understand, though, we have a lot of other systems in place with what we're doing with Momentum on the DeFi side and alpha shares in general, where we've got a lot of different profit centers right now. We've got a lot of different areas where we can place capital, trading bot strategies, other strategies that can produce some sort of income. So while we wait for these to get up and running, we very well may take some capital, put it into our trading bot strategies, and be able to provide something back to people in the form of some sort of claimed rewards during that 90 days, because we want to give someone immediate gratification. But at the same time, again, this is a real world operation. We don't want this to be some emission basis, like, hey, we're going to Ponzi-nomically pay you out to keep you excited for the next 90 days. That's not the point of this. That's the whole point of this next round on Tuesday. I've been educating people for the past week. It's going to be about 90 days. Hopefully, we can get down to 60 days, but we want to be conservative. We want to make sure that this is a real world operation. We've got to get everything set up with our physical location, our insurance, our security, everything, right? This isn't something that we've collected capital and now we can go disperse it to a contract. It's just not how it works.
Gotcha. And what happens if you're not able to sell as many as you were hoping to? I know that's sometimes the people's worry when you kind of have these initial offerings is, oh, what if you only sell half? Are you going to still be able to do what you're looking to do, or what's the plan in that case?
Good question. So we do already have, we've already put about $400,000 into this business. So from Momentum, we've $395,000 has already gone into the setup, which has been returned to Momentum. So some alpha for you guys here today. If you're in Momentum, yesterday actually Momentum just received 395 NFTs from the AMCR, so the Alpha Mining Co. Reserve NFTs. The contract got deployed yesterday. The NFTs got sent, and so literally Momentum now in its safe has 395 of these NFTs. We have a lot of group buys going on right now where it's looking fantastic. We've got a lot of interest. I hope that we sell out. Obviously, that's the goal. If we don't, there's a couple things that will happen. For one, we do have internal roadmap KPIs of how much do we have to raise to start to deploy. We don't have to raise the entire 2.5 to $3 million to deploy anything, right? There's multiple components here. So we still can deploy funds at certain raise amounts. These are internal, so I don't really care to put them out here now because the goal is to sell out this initial round. But if we don't sell out to our exclusive group because this is a whitelist only round, then we will whitelist every single person, about 700 holders that we have that own an alpha pack. So anyone that's within our alpha pack community and holds a wolf, we'll open it up to them. But we do foresee that with the current demand, it's looking pretty good.
Okay, very good. I was going to ask too, how does this affect existing alpha NFT holders? I have a bunch of, kind of the initial alpha. Is this going to affect that in any way, or are these just kind of completely separate?
No, everything that we do here is very centered around our ecosystem. So every single thing that we put out means that it benefits something else that's a part of the ecosystem. Because the Alpha Pack owns the marketplace and owns the fees on the marketplace, well, every time we launch a new collection, our collections perform and have the most volume out of any other collection on the marketplace. And that's just going to be default until we come across those new strides and find some amazing projects that launch with us and end up picking up steam on their own and have an amazing series of volume. Our current alpha pack has done over 10,000 AVAX in volume already since August. That's pretty wild. And so that's higher than any other collection in terms of volume on our marketplace. We know that when we drop the alpha or the reserve NFTs, when we drop the public NFTs, we've also got a really fun cheaper mint coming up called the pups, and that's coming up in about a month or so too. And all of those we know because we're driving complete trading activity on there. They're also going to be locked to the Alpha Shares marketplace. They can't be traded anywhere else. And so by default, these new collections that launch, we're targeting different people. The same person that invested in the Alpha Pack might not be investing in AMCR. But if you hold an Alpha Pack Wolf, well, we're having a new collection that's going to be heavily incentivized to be trading on Alpha Shares, meaning it's going to produce fees, and those fees are going to go straight back to the Alpha Pack. So every new collection that we drop, this is a point of contention for some people. Some people understand, oh, yes, I want you to drop a new collection. It's going to mean more fees for us. But some people also take it as, oh, hey, you're dropping a new collection. What does this mean for Alpha Pack? And we'd love to be able to say everything we do goes back to Alpha Pack, but we can't be Ponzi-nomic about it, right? We can't say, oh, hey, X% of this new mint is going to go straight back to the alpha pack. No, it's got to be dynamic. We're going to create this project. This project is going to be incentivized to be traded. If it is traded, it'll produce fees, and that is what dynamically you will own. So it's a very cool system that we're putting together. We want every component to feed back into itself.
Okay, very good. Nope, love that. And we've got some questions people have about that. I have one last question, then we'll get to the audience questions. Thank you, audience, for your patience. I know I'm selfish asking my questions first, but I appreciate you guys, and we'll get those asked. So when you look at, like, again, not a guarantee or anything like that, but when you look at projections like this, it seems like, okay, this is a no-brainer. Why would anyone not want to get into this? Maybe we could talk a little bit about the risks. And maybe specifically, what are the risks of getting in early opposed to, you're getting quite a bit of a bonus for getting in now rather than waiting till things are further along. What do you guys feel are the biggest risks? And maybe what are you doing to kind of mitigate those?
Well, I'll be honest. If, let's say, we were to go raise this capital from private investors and not from, NFTs, the risk would be just deploying the capital and making sure that we get it out there and cash flow and be able to provide the return that we're offering to these investors. We didn't want to go down that route because we want to make sure that things can be dynamic. We can raise these funds. We can get things chugging. I was very modest with the returns here. And we do think that these can perform even better. But the risk really is associated with, there's multiple factors here. So with Bitcoin, I'd like to say actually there's not as much risk associated with the Bitcoin mining as the other forms of operations because of our opportunity there. Because we're at 3 cents per kilowatt hour, even if Bitcoin cuts in half in price, so many miners across the world will actually have to turn off because they won't be profitable. Their power cost will eat into their profitability. There's no point keeping their miners on. With us at 3 cents per kilowatt hour, we actually will be able to stay online almost as long as the biggest farms that are out there that are operating at, a realized 2 to 2.5 cents per kilowatt hour. We're at 3, so we're right there, which means that we will actually stay online for very, very long time, and Bitcoin could go down to $10,000 in Bitcoin price. But if that happens, we'll most likely see that the difficulty within the mining pools will drop by greater than 50%, meaning if Bitcoin cuts in half by 50%, but difficulty cuts by more than 50%, we're mining more Bitcoin at more than double the Bitcoin at half the price, but we're actually more profitable because we're still in the pools. And so with Bitcoin, it's the risk there would be the hardware cost is going to severely depreciate. So if we spent, $4,500 on an S19, if Bitcoin cuts in half, that's going to be like $2,000 or $2,500. So that's where the liquidation cost of our hardware could take a hit in the event that Bitcoin takes a massive hit. But besides that, our profitability in terms of mining Bitcoin, it should stay relatively high. So that's where the risk associated with the Bitcoin side, that's pretty solid. We like that. The antimony side of things, the risk here is more of just getting things started and kicked off. We do estimate that it's about 90 days to get things moving. Could it possibly take longer? Maybe. We have to go and ship a bunch of different equipment from around the world and have it imported, have it set up, our furnaces, our ball mills, our shaker tables, our ducting systems, pouring big slabs of concrete so that we can build the actual facility. So we've got a whole construction plan. And with all of this, there is risk associated with timelines. Timelines can get delayed. This is real life that we're dealing with. We're not dealing with contract times and how long it takes for, gas to be paid and a transaction to go through. It's straight up shipping. We have to wait for sometimes boats to be freighting stuff over. And so that's where there's some risk there. There is risk with security. However, we're going to be covering that. So we are going to be having someone that's on site, an armed security guard 24/7. We're going to be having full surveillance in terms of digital surveillance for security. Everything will be fully secure with the mining operation. All miners will be within 40-foot shipping containers that will also then be housed within a building. We've got a lot of stuff that we're trying to make sure that we cover. The only other aspect would be any delay in initial payments on these NFTs, because we do have to make sure that we set up the legal structure correctly. It's great, and I want to be able to fully offer you to be able to claim income where you just claim stablecoin or Bitcoin, and that's the plan. That's the goal. But to set it up in a way that is not seen as a securitized offering, you have to put some really unique structures in place. And that's what the focus is here now, making sure that once this money is raised and it's deployed and it's cash flowing, that we could do this in the correct manner. So I wouldn't really call them risks. I'd say that they're due diligence points that have to be done, and they still have, and they're ongoing, right? But we're doing everything we can to make this happen. It's it's an amazing opportunity that there's no way we're going to pass it up. We can't.
Okay, very good. Let's bring up some audience questions. You guys always have great questions. Well, this one, are those real books or VHSs? Those are real books. We'll get that one out of the way. Can I still reap the rewards if I buy the NFT afterwards via OpenSea? And first off, it won't be available on OpenSea, correct? Just Alpha shares.
Correct.
But is that an option where people buy an NFT, then they'll sell them on Alpha shares, and so somebody could get a hold of these NFTs on the market that way?
Yeah, they'll be secondary tradable. We just aren't, it's not like we're wanting to go put a big middle finger up to OpenSea or anything, but they are technically a competitor of ours. And so if we want to maintain our own ecosystem, it makes sense to keep all the trading volume to the Alpha Pack, right? If trades happen on OpenSea, they're not going to go to the Alpha Pack. So we want to benefit our entire community. So yes, they won't be on OpenSea, but they will be secondary traded.
Okay. And planning to mine anything or other than Bitcoin or only Bitcoin?
Mainly Bitcoin. So right now our projections are at 8515 Bitcoin Cadena. So in terms of the actual miners that we're going to have, let's say there were 100 miners, they'd be 85 Bitcoin miners, 15 Cadena miners. It's going to be more, I think we're going to be getting between 300 and 320 miners for the initial deployment. And so it's looking at, again, the 85-15 split between Bitcoin and KA3s. For Cadena.
Okay, gotcha. What are you paying rewards in? Kind of talked a little bit about this, but should people expect USDC, Bitcoin, or how should people expect that?
So we do want to be able to offer it so that you can claim it in wrapped Bitcoin, but we also want you to be able to claim it in stablecoin. So we don't want to be the one that's determining the strategy for you. If you're someone that wants to just claim it as something that's dynamic, production of stablecoin every month, well, then collect your stablecoin every month. If you're someone that wants to stack Bitcoin because you're a maxi on it long term and you think it's going to hit 68K by the end of the year, well, you're not going to want to stack it as stables. You're going to want to stack it as Bitcoin. So you'll be able to claim it as either stablecoin or wrapped Bitcoin.
Okay, very good. What are the ecological impacts of mining and refining antimony? Thanks.
Great question. Yeah, good question. Ecological in terms of the Bitcoin mining, it's actually 100% fully renewable hydroelectric energy. So like I mentioned before, Paraguay has some of the world's largest riverways and so some of the world's largest hydroelectric dams. All of that energy that we intake for the mining operation for Bitcoin, fully renewable energy that is produced hydroelectrically. When it comes to antimony processing and refining, there isn't, the actual antimony itself. If you were to inhale it, it could become toxic because it's a heavy metal. So obviously, you have to have your PPE when you're performing the duties on the plant. But in terms of how everything is actually put out in terms of into the environment after, there are very little emissions because of the process that's used.
Okay. Any political risk doing business in Paraguay?
There are political risks doing business anywhere, and so that's where you have to navigate the political sector. You have to make sure that you have everything correctly laid out. So we have multiple connections down in Paraguay through our co-founder John and his cousin Bert. We've got connections, with legal groups. We've got an attorney down there. The government is one that, if it's very widely known. If you look it up and you look up, Paraguay and corruption, for the longest time, it has been a decently corrupt nation, just like many other South American countries. But what they are doing to change up the game is they have been, they're relatively a newer democratic republic. And so they really are trying to do things in a correct fashion, using Congress, passing bills through Parliament, making sure that they're upheld on both sides. Corruption is permeating the majority of areas outside of the United States. You go down to Mexico, anywhere in South America, even within the United States borders and anywhere in North America, there's corruption everywhere. It just is the difference between white collar and blue collar corruption. What I think is most important here is knowing what type of corruption there is, how to mitigate those risks, and how to make sure that you're not going to be a target of any of that corruption. And that's what we're doing.
Okay. Let's see. Oh, let's talk about so Hydrowhales. I know you have something going on with Hydrowhales. I saw you guys did a Twitter Spaces the other day. Do you want to talk a little bit about, because a lot of people would probably see this as a kind of direct competitor with Hydrowhales. What are you guys doing together?
So, like I mentioned earlier, a lot of projects that are, even Hydrowhales, very successful in selling a lot of NFTs to kickstart their mining operations. They were done, or they go and take those funds and they find a provider, a hosting facility that's going to host for them. I believe Hydrowhales is at 6 cents per kilowatt hour. Maybe they're at 7 or between 6 and 7. But again, us at 3, that's much more incentivizing. And so we actually came across, we didn't think about this opportunity as one we were going to pursue immediately. We thought that, hey, this 3 cents per kilowatt hour, great opportunity for us. We're going to get our own operations kickstarted. But as we start promoting this and showcasing it, advertising it, oh my God, every single big mining club, any project that has a lot of miners has reached out to us and said, I want to host with you guys. We're hosting at 6 cents per kilowatt hour. That's pointless. Like if I can even host at 4.5 with you, you're making 1.5 cents on us. I'm still saving 1.5 cents. It makes sense. And so that's where we are going to, as quickly as we can, set up the necessary structures in place, most likely a secondary entity just for hosting. Because the hosting ability there, we already have about 10 megawatts in interest, which would be substantial for us. So if we ever got to the point in the next few months where we can actually host that 10 megawatts and we're marking it up by 1 cent or 1.5 cents per megawatt, or per kilowatt per megawatt, it's pretty insane what the profitability index is for us as a company. We can make 5 figures a month, no problem, which would help support everything on our bottom line. So we're definitely going to be pursuing that, and that's where we hope to accommodate all of Hydrowhales miners.
Okay, very cool. So not a competition there. All
No,
rising tides raise all ships, right? So
exactly.
very cool. Do you envision a requirement for KYC at some point?
I don't, because we do in the future. I personally think in the future, if there's some other very private ventures that we do, there might be a need for KYC. But at the same time, everything that we do is hoping to achieve no need for KYC. We love decentralization. I love Web3 and blockchain technology for this reason. I do understand the need for KYC, but I also understand that the push of, what I think innovation should occur, I think that KYC isn't actually necessary. I think that there are other ways to make sure that people that are getting involved in the project are people that should be getting involved in the project. I do want to denote that if that anyone around the world can purchase one of these NFTs, but to access the claiming side of these NFTs, even to access the claiming side of the Alpha Pack, you can't be accessing it within the United States or Canada. And that's something that, let's say you're staking ApeCoin, or you've got a Bored Ape, you've got a Mutant Ape, and you want to stake it. You can't access it within the United States or Canada. It's just what has to happen. We're not a US based company, we're a Paraguayan company. We're able to offer certain things to certain people. And that's just where you have to make sure you check the terms and conditions. We are connected to on chain analysis, or chain analysis rather, where they verify through our API and our contracts to make sure that there are no sanctioned wallets that are touching our site, connecting to the site, or trying to mint our NFTs. So we're trying to do everything we can. The whole point of KYC is to make sure that people that shouldn't be getting involved with your project aren't getting involved with your project. We're doing everything to make sure that we achieve that without KYC, because KYC is mainly needed for countries like the United States, Canada, and some places in Europe, but we're making sure that we abide by international securities laws to not require it.
Yeah,
So sorry for the
mainly in the
long-winded
US.
answer.
Yeah, no.
Yes.
That's it's bittersweet living in the United States. It provides a lot of advantages, but then there's a lot of challenges as well. So no, definitely makes sense.
Exactly. You just take a quick VPN trip to Thailand or something to access your staking rewards or whatever.
Yeah, I was wondering if that was okay to say on video like this, but I was gonna just mention. I'll say it because maybe the team can't, but just you can get into this if you're in the US or Canada. It is possible. Okay, I'll say it that way.
Yeah, you
Um,
just have to access it from not in the United States or Canada. That's where you can't be touching those funds within the United States or Canada. So as long as you are not there in the United States or Canada, you're good. So just take a trip somewhere.
yeah, yeah, there you go. Here's a question. So we talked about the NFTs and how this benefits alpha NFTs. How do you think will this affect the alpha token itself?
So every time a fee is taken on the marketplace and then given to, so the alpha token is our reward token. So it's actually what we've used to protect ourselves and protect our holders as well, for receiving any type of reward from the alpha shares marketplace. Because of that, every time a fee is taken on the marketplace, alpha is actually purchased. And that alpha that's purchased is distributed as a reward. So, yes, as we increase the demand and the volume of trades that happen across different collections on our marketplace, which we expect will happen with our own collections, yes, it will result in more fees. Those fees will be purchasing alpha. Um, and we're going to continue to have different systems for alpha to be used for. So, if people are receiving out, so let's say $100 in alpha is bought and distributed, bought and distributed, bought and distributed. Well, if the only point of alpha was to be sold, then we can see that if 100 was bought, was all distributed and all those people sold it, you'd go right back down to where you were before. But if $100 of alpha was bought, distributed, but we had staking systems for alpha where you can go take your alpha, stake it, you can connect it with or pair it with USDC and stake it, whatever you want to do. Well, not everyone's going to sell their rewards, which should result in an upward pressure for alpha from an increase in volume. Yeah.
Okay. Very good. Well, hey, it looks like that's all the questions. Well, last question here. How do we get in? Okay. So we talked a little bit about this. I'll go ahead and say my understanding. And Tyler, you just correct me if I'm wrong. But in 3 days, we're going to have kind of this more exclusive launch. It's going to be $1,000 per NFT. If you want to be part of that, you can jump into my community. We'll have a form that you can fill out to be a part of that initial. You can hop in the Discord. There's other ways that you can get in if you hold a Genesis Alpha Pack Wolf NFT. Some of these things. So you can hop in the Discord if you don't want to join my community for one reason or another. Hop in the Discord, and might be able to work a way for you to get in that way as well. For everyone else, you'll just wait about 45 days or so, and then kind of some of the public launch will take place. Those will be a little cheaper, but with quite a bit less reward. But there's less risk as well. The moving pieces a lot of those will be in place. There'll be a lot more clarity. So this is how you usually see it, where if you take more risk, you get more of a benefit. But again, kind of up to you where you kind of want to see that. So does that sound good? I miss anything? Anything you want to add to that? Any final words as we wrap up here?
No, it seems like you've gotten it very well down. And so that's what I want to do is you've got an awesome community, a great community of people that are really looking into more of these types of strategies, buying these types of NFTs. And so if anyone in your community wants to get involved, you and I will chat real quick after this or however you want to do. I do have a form that I can send you if you want to put that anywhere that works, I guess. But yeah, we'd love to get anyone involved within your community that's interested in this type of thing. Sorry about that. It is whitelist only. So you have to be whitelisted to get in. This is something, though, that we're happy about. We keep it exclusive. We know exactly what addresses are going to be minting with us. And we get this operation kickstarted. We'd love to get you guys in on the bottom floor.
Okay, very cool. We did have a couple last questions roll in. Is it going to be USDC on AVAX, or what stablecoin do people need if they're wanting to get in?
USDC on Ethereum.
Okay, USDC on Ethereum. Okay, very good. And then Dana says, if I'm in the US and not tech savvy, does that mean that there's no way to get in?
So you could purchase the NFT because we're making it so that the purchase of this NFT on Tuesday, you're only purchasing the NFT, right? You're not purchasing the rights to the staking. You're not purchasing, future rewards. All you're doing is purchasing the NFT. That's a pre-reveal that's coming out on Tuesday. You can do that. You can purchase it wherever you are. When the DApp opens up to view your rewards, though, that's where you won't be able to access and claim those if you're accessing them within the United States. And I'll have to leave it at that.
Yes.
There are other systems that you can look at. I mean, just look up, Ape coin staking in the United States, and there's other strategies that people use. But I can't get into that. There's no financial advice that I can give here. Again, what this is for is to protect people in the United States to make sure that you aren't getting into something that is a securitized dealing. We want to make sure that everyone knows we are a Paraguayan company. We are not offering a security. We're not offering the system of staking it's specifically the staking, that this is what the US and Canada, they have legislation around that makes it more difficult for us to offer it. I am working with our legal counsel, though, to see how I can, right? So if there's a way that we can, similar to some other protocols that are out there, we absolutely will. So just stay tuned for that. That's also a big part of our due diligence.
Yep. And Dana, we can talk offline too. Just get in touch offline, and we can explain more. We can kind of work through some stuff. So yes, just get in touch. So awesome. Well, hey, thank you, community. You guys are awesome. Thank you, audience. Please hit like on your way out. Appreciate you guys very, very much. You're the reason that I still make videos. You're the reason that I kind of do what I do. So appreciate you guys. And Tyler, thank you for keep building. Thank you for this opportunity. This is one, I don't say this often on the AMAs themselves, but this is one that I am going to be buying personally. Okay. So I'll say that publicly. I'm excited about this one. Again, I've been looking for things that are not super degen, where I don't think I'm going to lose all my money. And this is one where I feel pretty good that I'm not going to lose all my money. So like that. Appreciate that. Again, we have kind of a low bar in crypto these days, but when I find team I like, doing something I like, not as risky as a lot of other stuff. That's what I'm looking for in this space. So thank you for bringing that to me, and thanks for bringing that to my community.
Absolutely. I couldn't be happier bringing it to you and your community. I'm glad that we've been connected for as long as we have. Let's keep this up. I can't wait for the next one. We're going to bring some more and more cool stuff to you guys, especially to you, James. Thank you for the time today. I really appreciate it. Couldn't be happier spending my morning with you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tyler. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Take care, everybody.